I feel huge.
Today on the Girl Defined show, we are talking about, is it wrong if you do not want to have kids?
No, it's not. Okay, thanks for watching. That was my video. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. You know, comments help a lot. That's one of the quickest videos I've ever done. Just kidding. I thought since I'm literally weeks away from having a baby, and I already have a 2-year-old, it would be interesting for me to react to this video I saw that popped up on my recommended from Girl Defined titled, "Is it wrong to not want to have kids?" Which I really could have just ended the video. But because of the whole me being a mom thing, I hate, as a mom, I just want to let you know that your kids should pray to Jesus. Sarah Palin is still in my head. She lives there rent-free. Oh, you know, I can see Russia from my house. I must stop. I must. Every time I talk about being a mom and as a mom, like, her image pops, it's burned into my brain. Or this like conservative trope, which I'm gonna get into a little bit of a rant about that. They can't claim it. They cannot claim family life and motherhood, damn it. But as a mom, I thought it would be interesting for me to react to this video of Girl Defined. They went on for like 30 minutes, so I'm gonna try to cut as much of it as I wouldn't recommend watching their full video. You can if you want. But I tried to cut through it and just respond to the parts that I thought were relevant. I don't think y'all need Bible verses today. Or ever.
It's been really interesting because I just had my second baby. I have a little boy and now a little girl.
Oh my God, I have so much in common with Bethany. I say that unironically because I have a son that's about the same age as her son, and I'm about to have a daughter that will be very close in age to her daughter. So, twinsies, same as these girl, defined.
And I am telling you, the amount of times that I have heard, oh my goodness, you're so lucky. You got your boy and your girl, now you're done. And it's just interesting that people have assumed like 2 is like already plenty. And you already have a boy and a girl, so you're absolutely done. When I tell them like, oh, I mean, we don't know if we can have more, but we would love to have more. They're like, oh, wow, okay, you know.
You know, it's interesting. It's almost like Bethany doesn't want people to judge her decisions on how many kids to have. Irony in a video where she's going to be pressuring people to have kids that want the number 0 kids.
And I just find it fascinating, just the culture around having children. And so I want to talk about not how many you should have, but is it wrong if you don't want to have any at all?
I mean, that is talking about how many you should have. Just throwing that out there.
Or is it wrong if you only want to have 2? You got your boy and your girl, hallelujah, you're through? I mean, is that okay?
Yes, again, that is okay if you feel that way. This should not be a video. I don't know why they felt the need.
Let's jump into it right now.
Nope, I'm not gonna do it, guys. I am 35 weeks pregnant. I do not have the energy to go up. All right. I really just cannot control the impulse. I'm not gonna lie, it's exhausting reacting to these religious fundamentalist videos, and that's not just because I'm pregnant. It's just, this has been my life since I started this, God, like what, 10 plus years ago? I don't even want to check. I'm ancient. I've been here a long time, a very long time. But I persevere and I continue doing it for this long because I want to put some good out into the world. I feel like they do the opposite. I mean, some of the things that they say that I'm sure get into people's heads, in my opinion, will change their life for the worse. This whole like live a miserable life and do as you are told to do. Don't, you know, have pleasure. Don't be with who you want to be. Don't, God forbid, do anything sexual before you're married, and make sure you have lots of kids, even if you don't want. Like, these are all very, very, very bad messages. So I push through in hopes to like counter some of that and also sprinkle things in my videos that I personally believe in. And I know right now, I know people are like looking at me and they see that I've gotten vaccines and they're gonna come at me for it, but I'm gonna just say it. I'm going to be proud that I got my shots, damn it. I had to get 3. When you're pregnant, you have to get a lot of shots. I had to get whooping cough. I actually got RSV just now. And with things getting colder outside, I mean, it was really cold and then it got warm. I'm like wearing a tank top again. Which, by the way, you can get at ffemerch.com. This is Tippy, my cat. Cats and wine. I love them. I can't have wine. I don't even remember what wine tastes like. It's been so long. But it was really, really cold for a long time, and it's about ready to get cold again. You gotta keep your family safe for the holidays. Flu shots are out, COVID-19 shots are out. They're not called boosters anymore, they're just called shots. You get one every year like the flu. The flu shot prevents millions of illnesses and 60% of doctor-related flu visits every year. And just like the annual flu shot, the new COVID-19 vaccines target the currently circulating coronavirus variants. And yes, you can get them at the same time, both at once. Woo! My arm's gonna feel real good in a few hours. I booked my appointment online. You could do it probably at any drugstore. And it was interesting. I also got RSV, which is recommended for pregnant patients 32 to 36 weeks, which is me. I'm 35. Woo! It's also recommended if you're 60 or older or consistently spending time around infants. Exciting. This is actually the first time the US has had vaccines against all 3 of these respiratory illnesses. So we've covered all the important things, right? We've got the vaccines on my arms, the shirt that I'm wearing, established that yes, I am in fact huge. Is there anything else, or did I cover all the things I'm probably gonna get comments on? All right, let's talk about Girl Defined.
And it's really interesting because I have seen this reel. It's kind of gone viral, and there are multiple people creating different sorts of this, but it's basically of a woman standing, you know, in front of the camera, and she's kind of dressed really classy, maybe kind of sexy. You know, she's definitely before she is married. And so it shows that she's just like, I guess, thinking about the idea or imagining what married life would look like. And so she has a wedding ring, and she's standing there just loving her life. And then she puts the wedding ring on, and all of a sudden the camera flashes to her like cleaning up all her kids' toys. And then she takes the ring off, and then she's back to like her single life.
You know, I've seen things like this. They don't bother me, even though I am someone who chose that life, right? I put the ring on. I am having the kids. And that is an accurate representation of a lot of days. I mean, it's showing the negative. Personally, obviously, I wouldn't do it or continue to do it if I didn't find a lot of benefits and things that make me incredibly happy, but it's hard. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with showing that. And if someone isn't ready to take on the difficulties of that life, and they want to stay single and they want to stay, you know, going out and partying and having that life and not having responsibilities outside of just taking care of yourself, then I do think that that's a good thing if that deters people from moving forward. Because you got to be ready. You have to be fully mentally prepared to take on a whole new life with a lot of responsibility. And there are days where you're messy, your house is messy, and you're cleaning and you're covered in shit. Like, sorry, but that is accurate.
Pre-kids. And then she puts the ring back on, and it's her like super exhausted in sweatpants, like doing laundry, and then she takes it off, and it flashes back and forth between her life now, which is portrayed as very glamorous, so wonderful, so easy.
I will say, I also don't think that is a fair representation, because I mean, sure, I probably seemed, well, no, I think people saw me going through shit online. I was gonna say, my life maybe seemed glamorous and easy and whatever before all of this, because, you know, I still had my vlog channel, Jacqueline Vlogs, and I would show myself going out and partying and drinking and, you know, getting dressed up and going to these, like, red carpet events, and, like, I lived in LA, you know, so it did maybe seem glamorous going to these parties at mansions, but I was not a happy person. I was not. I was trying, but ultimately, I wanted to always get to this goal of having this life. I truly have no regrets. But at the same time, the laundry is never ending. I'm always doing dishes, cleaning cat puke up off the floor, changing poopy diapers. Pregnancy is not glamorous either. It's uncomfortable. I hate it. It's worth the outcome. But this part sucks. If I'm being totally honest, I think no matter what phase of life you're in, there are going to be difficulties attached to it. My life wasn't perfect before. It wasn't easy before. I wasn't happy before. And even though I have things I want now, it's still not perfect, and it's still very difficult, and there are a lot of really hard days. So I think portraying any one lifestyle as flawless and glamorous in and of itself just has its own problems.
And then her life, fast forward, if she were to have children specifically, and basically how terrible it is, how exhausting it is, how she's basically losing her life. And then the reel ends, the little video ends with her taking off the wedding ring and throwing it in the trash can. And people love it. You should read the comments on it. They're like, yes, this is so great. This is so true. Like, oh my goodness, you know, and I
will reiterate that is true to a degree. I mean, you choose the life because you want it, and you have to do that understanding everything that it entails, because if you know, honestly, it's the fault of channels like this a lot of the time, like Girl Defined, that portray marriage and motherhood like that's what's super glamorous, and it's not. I wish someone gave me a more accurate representation of what pregnancy was like. Not that it would have deterred me, but it would have been nice to know and have realistic expectations, you know?
Wow, like how sad that we view children as such a burden.
Yes.
And such a, like, we're losing ourselves, and it's just the worst, you know? I mean, that just breaks my heart.
Yes.
I do have days where I feel like I've lost myself, you know, because becoming a mother, there's like so many identity changes that happen. You know, you have to make big adjustments from what your life was to what it now is. And in change, sometimes there is this feeling of a sense of loss, which I think is totally normal. I don't regret it. I would do it again, but it is hard.
It's sad to me that is the world that we live in, where those are the kinds of videos that go viral, because people are like, yes, having kids, it's such a drain. You lose yourself, you lose your life. You know, it's just the worst. It's just really sad to me.
I like videos like this because people need to know that before they choose to do it. I also like videos like this because there's just this overwhelming sense of become a mother, that this pressure that's put on women from society, and, you know, thanks to people like Girl Defined. I remember, you know, before I was, you know, married and had a family, I got a lot of comments, a lot of really nasty comments from people on my channel that thought, well, because she's an atheist, she doesn't want kids, she doesn't want this life, even though I've always been very open about it. And I think the fact that I've always been like a cat lady has just sort of compounded this idea that I'm gonna be like single and bitter and alone my whole life and just have cats and, you know, I hate men or whatever, don't want kids. That's the image that a lot of people had of me. Which is fine. I don't really give a shit. But it's interesting, though, because the amount of comments that I got saying you're going to die alone and miserable, and if you don't have a family, your life is going to have no meaning, and what's your value as a woman if you don't end up having, you're going to never be happy. You're going to realize you messed up when you're older. I got so many comments like that. And I always thought it was bizarre because, like, I knew what I wanted and what my goals were, and it didn't align with that. But, like, if it did, is it really anybody's business? No.
It's like the ball and chain jokes start with marriage. Like, oh, ball and chain, like you're going to be chained for life. Like you're entering this prison when you get married. Like that's the narrative of culture regarding marriage.
I never really got ball and chain comments. That's more of a thing I think men get, because the societal thing for men is that they go around and spread their seed, right? They get all the women, and women are supposed to be this innocent, pure little ball of white fuzz. Pure and virginal, you know what I mean? Like me. It was immaculate. So it's more of a comment that men get, I think. Oh, well, you're tied down. Now you can only put it in one vagina. Sucks to suck. Actually, no, they like that too.
And then children, it's even worse. It's like double ball and chain. Like, oh, if you're ever going to have kids, like wait as long as possible. Like
Freeze
don't
those
get
eggs.
there. Yes. And there's a resource that you can actually get for free called Set My Heart, 7-day devotional for drawing close to Jesus. And
I love how Bethany is just like on her phone, definitely not paying attention when she's promoting this thing. It's hilarious.
Jesus. And that is something that we need day in and day out. This resource, if you're watching on YouTube or Instagram, I'm holding up a picture, but you can get this free by becoming a supporter of Girl Defined over on our platform, Patreon.
You guys, I created a resource. If you go to patreon.com/Jacqueline, I created this really super awesome resource on this topic about should you have kids, even if you don't want any. It's very detailed, and I have set out instructions to really answer this question for you. Again, that's available on my Patreon, patreon.com/Jacqueline. Just kidding, guys. That is not on my Patreon. That is just for free. You can screenshot that for your future reference.
We create resources every month and give them to you for free.
But I do have a Patreon. I suck at Patreon. I don't offer like a lot of perks on my Patreon, but I have it for the pure reason of like these videos do not make a whole hell of a lot, no pun intended, because I talk about like, you know, hell and religion, and Google doesn't really like that. So if you want to support me continuing to do videos like this, you can check out my Patreon if you would like to. That resource that I mentioned, that's just for free. You can take that screenshot and just study it like really deeply.
Childbearing is viewed as a negative thing oftentimes, which is why surrogates are so popular now. Like this whole booming business, we really want to have an episode on that sometime, just talking about that industry, how that's becoming so popular.
Like driving down the road and saw a billboard like looking for surrogates. I was just like,
right,
what?
because women, I mean, and in some cases it's not just for physical beauty reasons, but in many cases, especially amongst celebrities,
for sure,
it's that idea like I don't want having a baby, birthing, or even a C-section to leave scars, to leave, you know, bust open my body. Like I just want to preserve this perfect body, and children will mess that up.
So now it's like you're not only required to have kids, but you're required to have them in the way in which Kristen and Bethany deem acceptable. Okay. Like, you know, you would expect a little bit more empathy from them, especially since they've struggled so much with having kids. I know Kristen ended up adopting because she was unable to get pregnant. They did like IVF and fertility treatments and all of these things. And I guess that's acceptable. But if you choose to have a surrogate for purposes that they do not accept, not cool anymore. Earlier in this video, they were talking about their demographics, and Kristen actually opened up a little bit about some of those things that she has struggled with.
A lot of you who are listening, we know we have a wide range of this sisterhood who are married, who are single, some married with kids, some married without kids, some wanting kids, like what my struggle has been for so many years, infertility, recurrent miscarriage.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't get someone who's been through that having the nerve to really be all that judgmental on how other people go about having their children.
Or to mess up. One of the big ones recently was because she didn't want to have to mess up her work schedule.
Yes,
and so
that's
she
a
was
huge
able
one.
to continue on with her life, have a surrogate. It wasn't for health reasons. It wasn't for any of that. It was literally so that her life wouldn't be inconvenienced with having to bear her own child.
Right.
Who cares? How does this affect you at all? I mean, really, how does this, why are they so up in arms? These are people who are choosing to have children. I thought this video was about people who didn't want to have kids. Now, if you do want to have kids, you got to do it their way. Missionary. I guess my only thing about this that did, make me kind of raise an eyebrow is, if you're really having someone else do all of this for you because you don't want to mess up your schedule, good luck when that kid's actually born, because they take time. So if you think having children is something that's not going to affect your life, or the speed at which you can do things, you got something else coming for you. So I guess I would be a little concerned in, mother or father who thought their life would be unaffected after kids.
So even the mindset of children are a burden, don't have them until you have to have them. There's even this mindset of control of okay, well, I want to have children when I'm ready. And then once I'm ready, I'm going to have them on my schedule, my time. It really is still so selfish.
Well, that is the best thing that you could do. You should be very aware of what's good for your schedule and your timeline. I want to have children when I'm ready is the mindset everyone should have. Do not have kids before you are financially prepared, mentally prepared, in a situation where you feel like you can fully care for them, you've got everything set up and ready. What in the world is this idea that, you're going to sit there and tell people to have kids before they're prepared, before they're ready, even mentally, to take that on? This is, I think, the worst thing they've said the entire time. Let me just make it very clear. Please do wait to have kids until you're ready. Okay?
So selfish, all about me. And then if you can afford it and you're apparently a celebrity and you can have someone else carry your baby so that you can continue on in your career, I mean, wow, things have taken such a downward spiral.
Again, I just want to point out really quick, Kristen and Bethany are, not struggling financially. They come from a very, very rich family. A big family. So that's a big support system of people. And I think they have 8 siblings they mentioned earlier.
We're from a family of 8 kids, which shocks people. And if you heard that for the first time, you're like, what? Yes, we are sisters. And there are 8 kids in our family.
Yeah, so that's a lot of people that can help. It takes a village, right? Where there are a lot of people out there that don't even have a partner. They're single moms. They're struggling. Even I live in an area where I'm not close to family. My dad can visit now and again. He's 3.5 hours from me, but I don't have other family that are right here that can help me. So as a result, I'm not able to work as much. And I don't have the luxury of just not working because our family relies on my income. But that is a very, very real struggle. And I do not have 8 siblings or 7 other siblings that can help me. I don't have my parents next door. It's so convenient for them to sit there and be judgmental of other people and how they try to make things work in their life when they're coming from a place of a huge community of support in their family and money. They have a lot of money. So they sit there on their throne of privilege, pointing their finger, waving it at people who might not have that support system. And on top of all of it, saying, well, you know what? You should have kids even before you think you're ready to do so. That is not a recipe for a good childhood or a good experience as a parent. So let's just stop. Let's stop doing that.
Chelsea Handler, I am not promoting her. She's a comedian, an actress, doing all sorts of things, but has kind of risen, to the top of mind for a lot of Christian women. A lot of conservatives are talking about her because she's getting out there and really promoting what she's calling the child-free life, and all caps on the free. Child-free. You are free. You don't have to have the burden, the weight, the chains of children.
Because you don't. You don't have to have children. And that kind of a voice is honestly needed. Even though that's not the life that I chose, I am happy for people who do choose that life, who know that that's the best life for them. And people like Chelsea Handler, probably like me before having kids, they're probably sick of people telling them that that's what they need to do to be happy and fulfilled in life. Like, who is anybody else to tell someone how to live and be happy and fulfilled and deem whether or not their life had meaning at the end of it all? Like, that's what she's pushing against. And that's good. That's a good resource for people to look to be able to feel like they are not alone in that if they so choose to have that lifestyle as well.
She is promoting this life. And in fact, recently she came out with her own t-shirt I saw on Instagram, and she's wearing it and promoting it on her shop. And it literally, the front in huge letters, it says child-free and crushing it. And her whole mindset is that you don't have to have children.
You don't have to have children. I know, it's shocking.
But it's this negative, secular, totally anti-child mindset.
This is okay. I want to rant for a second. Secular. Why is that secular? I am secular and I choose to have kids and have that life. Christianity, religion in general, does not get to claim family life, does not get to claim motherhood, does not get to claim living in the suburbs and baking muffins in the morning. I don't know. It's just so bizarre to me that, and it's not just religion, it's like conservatism as well. Like, I am not a conservative. I am not a Christian. I am not religious of any kind. And I absolutely have always my entire life wanted kids. Wanted to be married, wanted to live in the suburbs and have a cute little house with a dog and some cats and kids and what? Just because I don't also want Jesus, that's weird to people. Y'all don't get to claim it. You do not get to claim family units. That existed long before religion.
Showing how free she is, how she doesn't have the burden. She's sipping her wine. She's not waking up to crying babies. Look how amazing this life is, like that reel that you talked about, that other one.
And they're kind of joke. They're definitely being comedic
it's more,
about
yes.
it, but it's like they're for sure, like this
absolutely.
is what they're promoting. You know?
There's no joke. I don't think they're trying to be comedic. I think they really just don't, I know this is crazy, don't want kids and are happy with their child-free life and want to show people that they're not like miserably lonely crying in the corner with 25 cats, which is what people think. This exists because it's pushing against that narrative.
Childless women are seen as unfulfilled, unhappy. Even the Pope has slammed us, saying that not having children is selfish.
Exactly. And that's my whole point. She is pushing against that exact idea, which is very frustrating that society puts that on women. Like, it should be something you choose if you want it. And if not, be happy with whatever else you're doing. And it affects you, girl defined. It affects you not at all.
It's important to know when you don't have the skills to raise a baby. Instead of shaming people, we should say, oh, good for you for knowing that you shouldn't have a baby.
Yes, that is important. If someone knows that they are not competent or capable or whatever, not at a point in their life right now or ever to have kids, and they choose to not have a kid because of that, that's a really, really mighty good reason. And yes, I applaud those people. Thank you for not bringing a child into this world, into an environment that they might not be properly cared for, or you might not be able to properly care for yourself through it. That is an important, very wise decision.
This mindset of how free the child-free life is, how if a woman doesn't feel like she wants to have one or should have one or isn't capable of having one, like taking care of a baby, that it's perfectly good. And she's kind of rallying women to say there's a new genre of women who could have children, but are intentionally choosing not to. And it's a free and beautiful life.
I understand. So Kristen is someone who has struggled for a long time with being able to get pregnant. And I think that because she was unable to get pregnant, she views women that are able to get pregnant and choose not to as a problem.
Women who could have children, but are intentionally choosing not to.
Here you have this gift, right? And you're not using it, which is something that I've so desperately wanted. And now I'm in this position where I couldn't have my own kids. I adopted, and I'm sure she's very happy with that. But I think there is a bitterness that she was not able to do this thing that so many other women are able to do. And then they have the opportunity and choose not to take it. I think that's why maybe she's so bitter, and that's very sad.
Motherhood is a beautiful and high calling, but it is not something that should define our ultimate identity.
That's one thing they say that I agree with. They go on to say because loving Jesus and serving God or whatever should be your main purpose in life, and that should give you purpose and identity, which I obviously disagree with. I'm not going to play that whole spiel because I cannot handle it.
Something I really had to fight against was not allowing that prayer for becoming a mom, for having children, to become my identity, to become my idol, where here I am praying for a good thing, but what if God doesn't choose to give it to me? Where's my identity found? Am I less of a woman? Am I not a complete woman if I don't ever have that season of motherhood? Or does God have a purpose and a plan even in this, even if he chooses not to give us children?
Oh, okay. I get it. So only if God chooses not to give you children is it okay to not have children. You have to have some sort of medical problem or complication to not be able to do it for it to be valid. But if you just so choose to not have it, well, then you can't be fulfilled.
I still can be completely satisfied. I can fulfill my purpose as a Christian woman.
I mean, even if you are a Christian, like, you should still be able to find purpose in a life without having kids if you don't want them. You know, it shouldn't only be if you struggle and find issues with fertility. It's okay to make that choice for yourself.
I can 100% find satisfaction in Christ and fulfill my purpose in Him without having children.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My brain hurts.
And it can be very, I don't know, disillusioning, whatever you would call it, where you're like, this is something I want so much. And then you become a mom. And it is really hard. Like, being a mom is not easy. And if you don't have the mindset of like, it is my job to disciple these children, to love them sacrificially like Christ, children can very quickly feel like a burden because they are hard. Like, it is hard. You know, it's hard to take care of a tiny human that is fully dependent on you.
She says if you don't have the mindset that this is going to be hard, basically, if you're not prepared for the difficulties, kids will feel like a burden to you. Well, I would like to say, if you're not prepared for the difficulties, don't have kids, right? Why do something that feels so burdensome that's not what you wanted to do? You didn't want to be there to begin with, and now you have this burden. That's what kids want, right? They want to grow up feeling like they're a burden. Don't get me wrong, it is hard. Spoiler alert, even if it's what you wanted more than anything in the world. You can't argue with me that kids are a financial burden. They take a lot of time, they take a lot of mental energy and effort, and they take a lot out of you. If you don't want to do that, my God, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine how hard that would be. Because it's hard for me, and I wanted it bad.
You know, I have a 3-year-old boy, and then I have a 5-month-old girl, and it is just, you know, there.
She just kicked me. That's so cute. I love you. Ooh. It's a lot. That's like an elbow. Don't come out yet. Give me more time. I need to prepare for this burden. I'm kidding. It's a joke. She can hear me.
There, he especially is figuring out his independence and figuring out his own voice. And, you know, it is hard sometimes. And patience doesn't come. And I have to, you know, say sorry to him and repent before God and even ask him for forgiveness because I lose my patience and, you know, I get frustrated. I don't know if you ever do that with your boys.
No, I'm so patient all the time.
But it's hard. And so either way, like you have to go into motherhood and you have to go into desiring children, I think, from the right place, or it can become very overwhelming.
So then if you're not in the right place, don't do it. What is, like, I feel like she's making points for me, but doesn't get that that's what she's doing?
The modern resistance to having children as though they get in the way and are a pain in the neck is a sign of cultural corruption and selfishness. And so if that is your motive for not having kids, no, you are not obeying Jesus.
I'm sorry. Where did Jesus say thou shalt have kids regardless of whether or not you are mentally or financially capable or if you even just don't want them? They go on to say that there are things in the Bible where, you know, kids are talked about as this amazing thing, or be fruitful and multiply, but it never says be fruitful and multiply against your will. And I think we've been fruitful and multiplied pretty successfully as a human race.
I would never commend childlessness the way the world commends childlessness, but there may be kingdom reasons for not having children. And I don't think those reasons can be elevated to normative or absolute. So we shouldn't require that of anyone, just the same way I don't elevate the creation order to absoluteness like you must have children.
So basically, it's okay. The friggin' details of these rules getting pretty ridiculous, but it's okay to not have kids if you have kingdom reasons. So reasons of God, like, I don't know, health issues. I don't know what else they would think of as a kingdom reason, but I guess simply just not wanting kids because you don't want them is not good enough. I need to see a note from your doctor first, please, to know if Jesus would okay this.
It is not easy, but ease is not our aim. Ease is not our aim. I think we need, instead of having these cutesy like little verses that are like so positive, I think ease is not our aim as Christians. That isn't our goal. And when I got past that in thinking of adopting our boys, I was like, yes, not in those exact words, but ease is not my aim. Like the hard can be good. God will grow me. This will be great for me. Like, yes, then I actually got excited about it. I was kind of like, Lord, prepare me for this challenge. So I think we really need to change our mindset about hard is not bad.
Yeah. How do I explain this? I think most people already know that, right? Hard is not bad. Sometimes you have hard work. I went to medical school. That was hard work. It was miserable, but I didn't see it as bad because I wanted to be there. I was so thrilled when I got accepted. It takes a lot of hours and a lot of studying and a lot of volunteering and working and hospital hours to be able to even be considered to be accepted for med school. All that's very hard, very emotionally and physically draining too. I would honestly compare the hours to motherhood. Med school is not easy. It's definitely very hard, but worth it if that's what you want to do with your life and that's your passion and those are your goals. Imagine being in a situation where your parents forced you to go through all that because they wanted you to be a doctor and it's not anything you ever wanted for yourself, and now you're really miserable because you're putting in these hours and the stress and all this pressure on yourself for something you don't even want to do. This applies to anything. Like, it is so much worse to put in hard work and effort towards something that you don't want to be there for. And I mean, it's just so much more intricate and messed up when you talk about parenting, because it doesn't just affect you anymore. It affects your kid. So imagine having a kid and you didn't want that kid and now you have to be a parent. There's no way in hell you'll ever convince me that someone could be as good of a parent to a child that they don't want as one that they wanted. That kid is just not going to have as good of a life, and that's not fair to that kid or the parents. Stop promoting this really, really shitty outcome.
I was talking to an older couple. They have been married for many decades. And Dave and I actually asked them, we were like, oh, so, what would be your advice for us as a couple? Like, you've been married so long and y'all are so happy and you still like each other and you have so much fun together. And their advice literally was like, keep having babies. And I was like, yeah, we're going to try. I'm 34.
Aww.
We've had a couple miscarriages and they were like, it's so worth it. Like, they had as many as they could, but they were like, it's so worth it. Like, have as many as you can. And I just thought that was so interesting.
That's
that
sweet.
Was their advice.
That is about the worst marital advice I've ever heard of in my entire life. If you have a bad relationship before you have kids with someone, you will probably not end up staying with that person. Having kids is a beautiful thing. It is a very hard thing, and it is a very hard thing on a marriage. Even if you are like this, you guys are a great team. Trust me. The statistics back it up. A quick Google search says marital research tends to show that after the birth of the first child, a general decrease in marital satisfaction is to be expected. While current literature presents the idea that wives are typically more susceptible to lowered satisfaction, it's normal for some husbands to experience this as well, probably because their wives are pissed. A fifth of parents in a 2019 study broke up in the first year after welcoming a baby. According to the American Psychological Association, after having a baby, most married couples become less satisfied with their relationships, and that can have negative mental health consequences for their children. This is just so important to me to drive this point home. Do not have kids to fix a relationship. It will not. Expect for your relationship to get worse. For a while, at least, until you figure it out. Better have a good foundation before you jump into that. And please just don't give people the advice to have as many kids as you want. God. After having a baby, 67% of couples see their marital satisfaction plummet. Now, this is from research presented from John Gottman. He's very, very well known for his relationship advice. I definitely recommend looking into him if you're somebody who wants advice for relationships and not listening to Girl Defined. Go read something from John Gottman, please.
I want to wrap this whole thing up with some quick bullet points of 5 good reasons to have babies. Number 1, babies are God's blessing.
I will say children are wonderful. Babies are a blessing, right? It's a gift. It's a privilege in life that I am thrilled to be able to experience now twice. Looking forward to the second time. Religion taken out of it, I will say it's the best thing I've ever experienced, the strongest love I've ever had in my life. So I will say that. Again, this is coming from a woman that wants that life, to make it very clear.
Number 2, babies are a part of God's good design. Within the covenant of marriage, that beautiful act of intimacy can so often produce a baby, and that's God's good design.
That is evolution. You have sex, you procreate, and you have kids. So,
Number 3, God wants the earth to be full of people.
Yes, God really wants the earth to be full of people. That's why he had the flood. That's why he sent a plague to kill all the firstborns. I could go on. There's a bear in the woods somewhere. He loves children.
Married couples are called to make babies, disciples of Jesus. We are called to be fruitful and multiply, and then to teach them about Jesus.
It's just more people that you can teach about Jesus. You need to have kids so that there can be another indoctrinated person walking this earth, and you can teach them about Jesus.
The 5th reason is that heaven will be full of worshipers.
Oh my God. Stupid. There will be more dead people that can be floating around up in the sky.
You guys, this has been a fast and furious conversation. I know there's so much more that we could say about this.
Though. This was great.
This was fire. I hope this is just the beginning of this conversation.
It is just the beginning of this fire conversation. It's just so fire. It's so fiery. You guys started the conversation. Yes, it's the beginning of the conversation that I hope I'm ending. I hope I'm ending the conversation with a very clear and concise, should I have kids even if I don't want any? And that would be a freaking no. No, you should not.
So come hang out with us and let's chat more about this over on Instagram at girldefined. If you appreciate this conversation, like always.
Why do they always do that? If you want to continue this conversation, go to girldefined. They turn their comment section off and then send people over to their Instagram. It's so bizarre. So how about this? I'm going to post a picture on my Instagram. This picture. Enjoy it. Go leave a comment on it about this video and what your thoughts are. Also leave the same exact comment on this video because in the algorithm, they like comments. It helps promote things, you know. I don't know. Stupid Instagram promotion for myself in this video. Stupid Patreon promotion for myself in this video. Merch promotion for myself in this video. What else? What else can I promote for me? Go adopt a cat. That would make me happy.
And then come back and join us next week for another episode of The Girl Defined Show.
Oh, the outro again. I'm not doing it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like, comment, share it everywhere. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I just thought, you know, as a mom, I should chime in on this ridiculous narrative that's like, you should have as many kids as possible. Even if you're not ready, just start popping them out so that they can learn about Jesus. All right, I'm gonna go. My brain is fried. I think you guys can see me going like downhill, fast downward spiral into just mental insanity. I need to take a break. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye. I'm not doing the outro. I'm not doing it. Great content.